What's going on, guys? I'm back with the books that I read in January. January was actually pretty good for me. Normally I read, I don't know, I feel like my max in a month is like 5 or 6 because I do work a lot and yeah, I read really slow too. But I did read 4 books this month, so let's get into that. First book I read was Survive the Night by Riley Sager. That book wasn't it wasn't it. That book was not it. I think I rated it 1 star. It was so bad. I wanted to like it, but it was like the girl in it was making so many stupid decisions the whole time. And I couldn't get behind that. And then at the end, all the plot twists, and like, I guess it made sense, but like, it was also ridiculous. Like there was just no reason for all of that. You know what I mean? And it felt so like unreal and dramatic. And like, I hated it. If I'm being honest, I hated that book and I ranted about how bad it was for days. And I hate saying that because I feel like usually I'm not very harsh about books, but yeah, no, that was the worst book I've ever read. Like, it just, it had potential. It did. But like, what woman gets into a car with a stranger, a man as well, at 9 o'clock at night to drive hours home? You lost me in the beginning, you know? So yeah, Survive the Night, 1 out of 5 stars. Now, the second book I read this month was really good. I actually have it. Survive the Night, I read an ebook. But Destroy Me was the second book that I read this month. And I count it as a book because these are novellas. There's like 2 in it. So, you know. Yeah, I mean, it was interesting getting to see like Warner's point of view in the whole thing because like, I mean, in her point of view, he's such a bad guy. And not to say that he's not, because I just don't think I know enough yet. But, like, figuring out his motives behind everything he's doing and, like, his kind of backstory is just, it adds so much depth to the story and all. I do have the next one as well. What's that? Unravel Me. So I'll be reading that in February, but I'm going to do a whole other video on, like, books I'm reading in February. So watch out for that. But yeah, no, I really like that. I mean, I don't think it was like in like it's a novella to add more information to the story, so I feel like it's really hard to like rate. But I don't know, it'd be like a 4 out of 5. It wasn't like the most amazing thing, and it's not gonna be, you know, but like it was good. The third book is actually an audiobook, which everyone was like freaking out about, and I listened to the whole thing and I don't know. But it was When Breath Becomes Air. I listened to it forever, it felt like. Even though it was only like 6 hours or something, so it shouldn't have taken that long, but it took literally forever. And I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I think it's good for what it is. I just think maybe I'm not the audience for it. But then like everyone's reading and listening to it. So I don't know. Like, I wish if you got something out of it, could you please comment it below? Because maybe I'm missing something, but it just felt like I was being, like, vomited with information. And there were parts that were, like, really interesting. But maybe I'm not a memoir girl. But I've read memoirs and I've liked them before. But, like, not many, so I don't know. And that was a long time ago. But that one, nothing stuck with me, really. There was a lot of, like, medical jargon and stuff that was hard to get through. And, I mean, the ending was interesting, but the ending was, like, it was, like, an hour of what I feel like the story was meant to be about. And I know, like, it's his story and tell it how you want to tell it. I don't know that I got what I was supposed to be getting out of it. So I gave it like a 2 or 3 stars, I think. I think I gave it 3 because, like, the storytelling was good, but it just wasn't for me. It might be for you. You should at least try it out, and if you just don't like it, then just DNF it. But it was good. It just wasn't for me. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna try to listen to Jeanette McCurdy's I'm Glad My Mom Died and see if maybe it's just a memoir thing, but we'll see. And then the last book that I read this month was The Midnight Library. What a good book. That book was incredible, actually. Like, I think it might be my favorite book, which is crazy because I was watching a YouTube video and this girl was like, she was like, I think it's really slow and boring or something. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I love this. Just the idea that I'm sure all of us could relate to the feeling of regret and like, what if I had decided to do this? What would my life be like now? And I feel like I've felt that like over and over again throughout my life. And I mean, I'm only 23, so like, you know, but yeah, I thought it was just interesting because just realizing that sometimes the things that you think would make your life better could eventually just not turn out how you expect them to. Like, we have these created scenarios and like fantasies of like the future and what that could be like in different ways, but like that's all they are. Like, the reality is that not everything would be perfect, and that like all we have is like what we have. And it's like when you start to experience those realities, you just realize that it's like not as good as you thought it was gonna be, and that like you actually, like, your life is actually pretty good. But it was also just, the whole thing was interesting. If you haven't read it, you like need to read it because I don't want to like spoil a bunch of it, you know? And I don't think I have yet. Like, I think there's just so much to like take in from that book and like apply to your real life and how you're like feeling and thinking. And I feel like there's just like so much of me that's like in this transition period of like graduating college and getting a new job and like figuring all these life things out, and like how much easier things would be for me if like certain things had happened in my life. And just reading that book made me realize that like it might not have been easier. It might have been harder. I might be miserable in all these other lives that I've made up in my head. But like in the life I'm in now, like I feel pretty good. Like, it's not always perfect, but nothing is ever going to be perfect. So, yeah, I don't know. I took so much out of that book. That was a 5 out of 5 for me, and it is my favorite book now. What sucks is that I read it as an ebook thinking like, oh, this is going to be good, and now I need to go find it. But yeah, I mean, it was incredible. It was the best book I've ever read, honestly. Like, before this, my favorite book was Perks of Being a Wallflower because it was kind of similar in the way that I just took so much from it. But yeah, no, this is like incredible. If you haven't read it, you need to read it like today. But yeah, those are the books I read in January. I read most of those at the beginning of January, and then I didn't really read anything, mostly because I was like traveling for my work and working something new, so I really haven't had a whole lot of time. But I will make a video of what I'm reading in February and see how much I get through in February, because I will be traveling a little bit. So traveling actually gives me like more time to read, but like I hate being away from my dogs, so I was just kind of hanging out watching Jurassic Park the whole time. But this time I'm going to try to get through some books. I'm going to try to get through something this weekend. I need to get through before the coffee gets cold, because I've been trying to read that since, I would love to say November. I mean, December. I think it might be December, but it could be November. It's just so slow, but I think that's going to be one. But yeah, anyways, that's going to do it for this video. If you have any recommendations for February, go ahead, comment it below. If you could, leave a like on the video and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And, yeah, I hope you enjoy whatever you're going to read this month or whatever you read last month. But I'll see you in the next one.